The glass shattered against the restaurant wall like a gunshot in the dim hum of silverware and murmured secrets, shards catching the candlelight as they rained down on the white tablecloth. "You think you can just waltz in here and play hero?" I snarled, my voice cracking raw over the din, fists balled so tight my knuckles bleached white. Alex stood there, uninvited as always, his broad shoulders blocking the exit, eyes locked on mine with that infuriating mix of pity and fire, ruining another night, another fragile shot at something real, and damn if it didn't feel like he was carving my heart out with a dull knife. It started 6 months ago, back when I was still naive enough to believe in second chances. New York had chewed me up and spat me out a dozen times, lost jobs, ghosted hookups, the endless grind of freelance gigs that left me crashing on friends' couches with a laptop for a pillow. But then came the gig at Vanguard Media, a sleek midtown agency where the air smelled like overpriced coffee and ambition. That's where I met Alex Hargrove, the golden boy of the creative team, tall, built like he bench-pressed his regrets, with that easy grin that masked whatever demons he kept chained in his closet. We were thrown together on a pitch for some eco-friendly beer brand, me sketching wild concepts on napkins, him refining them into gold with his sharp wit and sharper eye. "You're a fucking visionary, Gabe," he'd say, clapping my shoulder a beat too long, his touch lingering like smoke. I wrote it off as bro energy, the kind that simmers in open-plan offices where everyone's too caffeinated to notice boundaries blurring. Our first real clash came over a client dinner. But not like this. That was tame, him poaching my ideas in a meeting, me calling him out in front of the execs, the room going pin-drop silent as his jaw ticked. "It's not stealing if it works better," he shot back, voice low and edged. But later, in the elevator, he cornered me with an apology beer from the vending machine. "I get it. City's a jungle. But you're too good to fade into the background." Something in his tone hooked me, a vulnerability peeking through the bravado, but I shrugged it off. I had bigger fish, dating apps, blind setups from well-meaning colleagues, the desperate hunt for connection in a sea of swipes. Enter date 1, Marcus, the architect with the laugh like summer thunder. We met at this hole-in-the-wall tapas joint in the East Village. Fairy lights strung like drunken stars overhead, the air thick with garlic and possibility. Marcus was everything I'd swiped right for, tall, with hands that looked like they could build empires or cradle secrets. We were 3 sangrias in, his knee brushing mine under the table, when the door swung open and there was Alex, drenched from the October drizzle, scanning the room like a hawk on the prowl. "Gabe? What the hell? Man, you didn't say you were hitting this spot tonight." His voice boomed, casual but laced with that undercurrent I was starting to dread, drawing eyes from every corner. Marcus stiffened, his easy smile fracturing. "Friend of yours?" I muttered a curse under my breath, forcing a nod as Alex pulled up a chair uninvited, launching into a story about our epic office prank war that painted me as the bumbling sidekick, not the guy who'd actually orchestrated the whole thing. By the time the check came, Marcus was checking his phone more than me, mumbling about an early site visit. Alex watched him go with a smirk that curdled my gut. "Dodged a bullet, Gabe. Guy's got commitment issues, saw his profile on that app. All fun only vibes." I shoved him out the door, heart pounding with a rage that tasted like bile. "Stay out of my life, Alex. This isn't your circus." But it was. Date 2, Teller. The barista poet with ink-sleeved arms and verses that dripped like honey. We holed up in a jazz lounge in Harlem. Saxophone wails weaving through the haze of our shared joint in the alley out back. Tyler's fingers traced patterns on my thigh. His breath warm against my ear as he whispered lines about souls colliding in the subway's underbelly. Heat bloomed low in my belly, the kind that promised more than fleeting touches. Then, the door to the lounge creaks. And Alex is there. Tie loosened, claiming he'd stumbled in after a client happy hour 2 blocks over. Coincidence? Bullshit. He ordered a round, regaling Tyler with tales of my infamous all-nighter that ended with me projectile vomiting on the boss's shoes, embellished, of course, to make me sound like a hot mess instead of the survivor I'd clawed my way into being. Tyler laughed at first, polite and detached, but by the encore set, he was inching away, citing a poetry slam across town. Alex leaned in as Tyler slipped out, his cologne, cedar and storm, invading my space. Trust me, Gabe. He's got a wandering eye, caught him eyeing the bartender like fresh meat. My fist connected with his arm before I could stop it, the thud echoing in the emptying room. You're sabotaging me. But what the fuck do you get out of this? His eyes darkened, jaw flexing, but he just shrugged, that wall slamming down. Protecting you from assholes. That's what friends do. Friends. The word landed like a slap, stinging deeper than it should. Word spread at the office, whispers trailing me like shadows. Gabe's got a stalker crush on the new guy, total drama. I buried it in late nights, churning out ad copy that bled my frustrations onto the page, slogans sharp as switchblades, evoking the ache of unrequited everything. Alex kept his distance professionally, but his gaze followed me across the bullpen, heavy and unspoken. I ignored it, swiping harder, lining up date 3, Jordan. The tech whiz with a loft in Brooklyn and a smile that disarmed like a glitch in the Matrix. We met at a rooftop bar overlooking the skyline. The city sprawled like a glittering wound below us. Jordan's hand found mine amid the thrum of bass and laughter, his thumb stroking circles that sent sparks up my spine. For the first time in months, I let myself believe this could be it. The anchor in the storm. Cue Alex, materializing from the crowd like a bad sequel, cocktail in hand, bumping into us with a slurred apology that reeked of setup. Gabe, bro, you vanished after that pitch, been meaning to hash out those revisions. Revisions? At 11 p.m. On a Saturday? He commandeered the conversation, dissecting Jordan's startup pitch with surgical precision, exposing flaws I'd barely noticed but that Jordan clearly hadn't stress-tested. By midnight, Jordan was defensive, snapping back about industry gatekeepers, and stormed off into the night. Alex turned to me, expression unreadable in the strobe lights. See? He's all flash. No substance. You'd burn out chasing that. I grabbed his collar, shoving him against the railing, the wind whipping our words into frenzy. This ends now. Alex. You're not my keeper. You're poison. His breath hitched, eyes searching mine with a desperation that almost cracked me, but he pulled away, vanishing into the elevator without a word. The fallout hit like a freight train. The work. Tension crackled, missed deadlines, icy stares across conference tables. I threw myself into a solo project, a campaign for a queer youth hotline that poured out my soul, visuals of fractured mirrors mending, Taglines like, "Your reflection doesn't define you." Alex reviewed it unbidden. His notes scrawled in red, "Too raw. Clients want hope. Not your baggage." Baggage. As if he knew the weight of mine. The dad who disowned me at 16 for that stolen kiss behind the bleachers. The string of flings that left me hollower each time. The mirror that still whispered, "Not enough." I confronted him in the supply closet. Voices echoing off metal shelves. "You don't get to judge me. You've got your perfect life, hot girlfriend from accounting. Corner office trajectory. Leave me to my messes. To bitter and broken. Girlfriend? Jesus. To open your eyes." But the door swung shut on whatever came next, leaving me adrift in the dark. Date 4 was my rebellion. The rugged firefighter with scars like roadmaps and a quiet strength that made my chest ache. We crashed a dive bar in Hell's Kitchen. Pool cues clacking as we traded shots and stories. His about pulling a kid from a blaze. Mine about the fire that raised my family ties. His arms slung over my shoulders felt like home. Solid and unyielding. Then, the inevitable, Alex, bursting through the door. Claiming he'd heard about a fight breaking out nearby. He scanned the room, zeroing in on us. Then, accidentally, spilled his beer across the table, soaking Ethan's phone and wallet. Chaos erupted, Ethan cursing, lunging forward, me wedged between them as fists nearly flew. "Get the fuck out," Ethan bellowed. But Alex just stood there, chest heaving, staring at me like I was the blaze he couldn't extinguish. Ethan left in a hail of profanities, blocking my number before the cab peeled away. I rounded on Alex outside, rain mixing with the tears I refused to acknowledge. "What is wrong with you? You're destroying me, one date at a time. Like it's your goddamn mission." His face crumpled, rain carving rivers down his cheeks. And for the first time, I saw it, the fracture lines, the man behind the mask. "Because I can't watch you shatter again, Gabe." Not like with him. The word hung. A ghost between us. Fleeing into the storm, leaving me soaked and unraveling. The next morning dawned gray and unforgiving. The kind of New York November that seeps into your bones and refuses to let go. I called in sick. Holing up in my shoebox apartment in Astoria, peeling wallpaper, a bed that sagged like my resolve, the distant rumble of the N train a mocking lullaby. My phone buzzed with unread texts, office group chat memes, a pity invite from Sarah in HR, and 3 from Alex, each shorter than the last. "We need to talk." "I'm sorry. Please." I deleted them all, thumb hovering over the block button before cowardice won. Instead, I scrolled through old photos, me at 22, grinning with sun-bleached hair and a lover's arm around my waist. Before the ghosting, the accusations, the silence that echoed louder than any fight. Ethan was right, I was a magnet for messes. But Alex? He was the wrecking ball. By afternoon, cabin fever clawed at me. I wandered the blocks, hood up against the chill, past bodegas hawking lotto dreams and falafel that promised escape. My feet carried me to Central Park, the leaves a carpet of bruised crimson, joggers blurring past like lives I couldn't touch. I sank onto a bench near the Bethesda fountain, the angel above weeping stone tears that mirrored my own. I am Alex. With his effortless charm and guarded heart, why sabotage the one thing I craved? Protection? It said. From what? Myself? The thought twisted like a knife, dredging up memories of my ex. Liam, the charming artist who'd wooed me with midnight sketches and promises of forever, only to cheat with half the gallery scene, leaving me a husk when the lies unraveled. I'd sworn off love after that, but these dates, they were my fragile rebellion, stitches over the scar. A shadow fell across me, Alex. Coat unbuttoned, breath fogging in the cold. Knew I'd find you here. You always run to this spot when shit hits. I stiffened, but he sat anyway, leaving space like a truce. Silence stretched, taut as a wire. Ethan's not the villain, I finally muttered. None of them were. You're the one turning my life into a punchline, he exhaled, rubbing his jaw, stubble rasping under his fingers. Ethan's married, Gabe. Ring tan on his left hand, faint, but there. I tailed him after your texts lit up the office Slack. Saw him kiss some woman outside his precinct. Firefighter by day, family man by night. The world tilted, nausea rising like bile. Married. The word echoed, a betrayal sharper than any I'd inflicted on myself. How? Why didn't you just tell me? My voice broke, small and lost. Alex's eyes met mine, stormy and raw. Because you wouldn't believe me. Not after Liam, you see red flags as romance. And he trailed off, fists clenching in his lap. I couldn't bear watching you break again. It guts me. The admission hung, heavy with subtext, his gaze dropping to my mouth before flicking away. Heat flushed my cheeks, unbidden, but I shoved it down. So this is pity? The great Alex Hargrove? Saving the broken queer kid from his bad choices. He surged to his feet, voice cracking like thunder. Pity? Fuck you. Gabe. You think this is easy? Watching you light up for strangers? Knowing he cut himself off, pacing the path, leaves crunching under his boots. Knowing I what? The question burned, but pride sealed my lips. We walked back in silence, the city pulsing around us, horns blaring, vendors hawking chestnuts, lives intersecting without apology. At my stoop, he paused, hand brushing mine in farewell. I'm not the villain here. But if you want me gone, say it. I'll transfer teams. Disappear. His touch lingered, electric, and for a heartbeat, I almost pulled him closer. Instead, I nodded, door slamming on the what-ifs. Work the next week was a minefield. I avoided his desk, burying myself in revisions, the queer hotline campaign now a lifeline I clung to. Calls flooded in during test runs, kids like 16-year-old me, voices trembling with, what if they hate me? I poured their pain into the scripts, my own bleeding through, you're not alone. The world's big enough for your truth. Alex's notes stopped coming, but his presence loomed, coffee left on my desk. Black with 2 sugars, just how I liked. Subtle sabotage shifted to subtle care, and it infuriated me more than the interruptions ever had. Date 5 was spite-fueled, a group thing, safety in numbers. My roommate Jax set it up, a queer game night at a Williamsburg loft. Charades and cheap wine with a dozen eligible bachelors. I arrived armored in sarcasm, scanning the crowd, artists, coders. One guy with a man bun that screamed, "Try me," entered Leo, a graphic novelist with tousled curls and a dimpled grin. challenging me to Pictionary with a wink that promised mischief. We dominated. His body heat a constant brush against mine. Laughter bubbling easy for the first time in weeks. As the night wound down, he slipped me his number, murmuring, "Your trouble, Gabriel." The good kind. Heart stuttering. I texted Alex a preemptive "don't even think about it," but my phone stayed silent. Until 2 a.m., when a pounding rattled my door. Alex, disheveled, eyes bloodshot, thrusting printouts at me, screenshots of Leo's socials, timestamps of him at underground parties with a rotating cast of hookups, captions dripping entitlement. He's a player. Gabe. Collects hearts like badges. I snatch the papers, crumpling them, rage boiling over. You hacked him? Jesus. Alex. This crosses every line. He didn't flinch. Stepping inside uninvited, the apartment shrinking around his intensity. I care too much to let you be another notch. After what he posted last week, bragging about bagging the office boy, I couldn't. Office boy? The pieces slotted. Leo worked at a rival agency? Our pitches overlapping. As setup? Or just cosmic cruelty? We argued until dawn. Voices raw. Accusations flying like shrapnel. You're obsessed, I yelled, shoving his chest. This isn't protection, it's control. He grabbed my wrists. Not hard, but from his breath ragged. Obsessed? Damn right. Because I'm in love with you. You idiot. Have been since that first napkin sketch. Since you called me out in that meeting and made me feel seen. And it kills me. Watching you chase shadows when I'm right here. The confession detonated. Air thickening with the weight of it. From Alex, the straight-laced straight guy? Wait, his words from the closet echoed. Girlfriend? Open your eyes. Pieces realigned. The lingering touches. The jealousy masked as concern. The way his gaze stripped me bare. I yanked free. Heart hammering. What? This whole time. Betrayal twisted with something sweeter. Forbidden. He nodded. Yeah. And I thought ruining your dates would push you away from the pain. Me. Stupid? I know. Selfish. The room spun. Memories refracting. Every ruin, a desperate bid for my attention. Every intervention, a shield forged from fear. I sank onto the couch, head in hands. You broke me, Alex. Piece by piece. Voice a whisper. Let me fix it. Please. But trust doesn't rebuild in a night. I sent him away. The door clicking shut on possibility. Days blurred into a haze, campaign launch. Accolades from the team. But hollow without catharsis. Leo ghosted. Confirming Alex's intel. And the victory tasted like ash. At the wrap party? Champagne flutes clinking under disco lights. I found him in the corner, nursing a scotch. Alone. Our eyes met across the room, charged with unfinished business. I approached, pulse thundering. Dance with me, not a question. He set down his glass, hand enveloping mine, pulling me into the throng. The floor vibrated, bodies a blur. But it was just us, his palm on my waist, my fingers threading his hair, the world narrowing to cedar and sweat. I'm scared, I admitted, lips brushing his ear. Of you. He pulled back, eyes fierce. Me too. But I'm done hiding. The kiss came fierce, claiming teeth and tongue, months of tension igniting like dry tinder. Cheers erupted around us, oblivious or celebratory. But in that moment, it was ours, raw, redemptive. Yet redemption's a fickle bitch, especially when the past claws back with talons sharpened by regret. We tumbled into something fragile after that night, stolen kisses in the stairwell, late-night texts that veered from flirty to filthy, his hands slipping under my shirt during strategy sessions that dissolved into moans against conference tables. Alex was a revelation, patient where others rushed, attentive in ways that unraveled me. He traced the tattoo on my ribs, a phoenix-inked postlium, symbol of rising, with fingertips that worshipped, murmuring, "Your fire, Gabe. Don't let anyone dim you." Sex with him was communion, bodies aligning like we'd been mapped for this, his strength yielding to my rhythm, gasps sinking in the dark. But the office buzzed with suspicion. Whispers evolved. Hargrove's got a thing for the new guy, total power play. Sarah cornered me in the break room, eyes wide. "Girl, Phil, is it serious? Or just stress relief?" I deflected with a laugh. But inside, doubt festered. "Bux's no ex-girlfriend." He'd come out to me in fragments, confessing a string of beards to appease his conservative folks back in Ohio. The closet a cage he'd rattled but never fully escaped. "You're my out," he'd say, vulnerability cracking his armor. It thrilled and terrified. Being someone's salvation meant carrying their shadows too. Enter the conflict's serpent, the promotion. Vanguard announced openings, senior creative leads. The kind that meant stability, a lease on something better than my Astoria regret. Alex and I vied for the same slot, our pitches colliding in a boardroom bloodbath. Mine, an extension of the Hotline campaign. Bold visuals of queer icons shattering glass ceilings. Taglines pulsing with defiance. Client safe. A safer bet for the execs who flinched at risky. He won. Of course, handshake from the boss. Slaps on the back. While I nursed a runner-up plaque that felt like fool's gold. Betrayal slithered in that night. Over takeout in his sleek Upper West Side walk-up, exposed brick. Bookshelves groaning with Kerouac and Baldwin. A view of the Hudson that mocked my view of the L tracks. "You pulled punches," I accused. Chopstick stabbing lo mein. "Sandbagged your pitch to let me shine." Then swooped in. He paused. "Fork midway." "What?" "No, yours was brilliant, Gabe." But they wanted proven. I earned it. I'd seen the revisions on his deck, toned-down edges that echoed my style. Uncredited. Rage boiled. Hot and irrational. "You're using me. Stealing my fire. Like always." "Fifth. Ideas. Now this." He slammed his plate down, eyes flashing. "Using you? Fifth. After everything, ruining your nights to keep you safe? Bearing my soul, and you think this is theft?" The argument escalated. Words weaponized, my insecurities about being the office charity case, his about being the closeted fraud. "You think I wanted this charade?" he roared. Pretending straight for years. Choking on it. Until you walked in and made me want to burn it all down? I hurled the accusation that cut deepest. Then why hide? Why not fight for us openly? Instead of this half-life. He recoiled. Face ashen. "Because my father's dying, Gabe." Pancreatic, stage 4. And if he goes knowing his son's a disappointment, the room iced over, his confession a gut punch. Guilt crashed in, but pride held the line. Don't weaponize that. It's tainted now. I stormed out. The doors slam echoing my fracturing heart. Days passed in radio silence. The office became a battlefield. Our desks fortresses of avoidance. I drowned in freelance gigs, pounding pavement for auditions, voiceover work. Anything to escape the void. Nights blurred into bars. Anonymous hands and hollow highs. Chasing numbness. Jax staged an intervention over pizza. Babe, you're spiraling. Hargrove's a dick. But he's your dick. Fix it or flush it. Wise words. But fear glued me in place, the terror of loving someone who could eclipse me. The high tide of chaos hit at the holiday party. Vanguard's annual bacchanal in a Tribeca loft, tinsel-draped rafters. Open bar flowing like the Hudson at flood stage. Colleagues shedding inhibitions like overcoats. I arrived armored in velvet blazer and spite, determined to reclaim my narrative. Flirted shamelessly with a junior account exec. His laugh a bomb. Until Alex materialized, tux rumpled, scotch-scented, eyes devouring me from across the room. He didn't interrupt. Worse? He what? Jaw carved from granite, as the XX hand grazed my hip. By midnight, the party's pulse throbbed, couples grinding, secrets swapped in corners. I slipped to the balcony for air. City lights a constellation of unfulfilled wishes. Footsteps, Alex? Leaning on the railing. Ty askew. Having fun. Voice neutral, but laced with venom. I shrugged. Wind tousling my hair. Trying to. Without you torpedoing it. Hello. Yeah, that guy's got a coke habit. Saw him in the bathroom. Real catch. Sarcasm dripped. But underneath. Raw and bleeding. Stop, I whispered, turning to him. Just. Stop pretending you're the guardian. You're jealous. Admit it. He did. Voice shattering. Good. Jealous of every glance you give, every smile not mine. Because losing you, it's like losing air. Tears streaked his face, illuminated by the skyline's glow. The dam broke, I pulled him close. Our kiss desperate, salt mingling with the taste of whiskey. Hands roamed, frantic, his in my hair, mine under his shirt, nails raking the planes of his back. We stumbled inside, ignoring stares, claiming a guest room where the world narrowed to gasps and grips, bodies arching in reconciliation's fire. But dawn brought clarity's cold edge. Curled against him, his heartbeat a steady drum under my palm. Doubt whispered, "What now?" His promotion loomed. A wedge, my pride. A wall. We dressed in silence. The party's detritus a metaphor for our wreckage. We can't keep doing this, I said, zipping my jacket. Half in, half out. It kills us both. He nodded, eyes haunted. Then let's go all in. I'll defer the lead, co-credit the campaign. And my dad. I'll tell him. Before it's too late. The offer hung. Monumental, a bridge over the chasm. If fate, that cruel curator, had one more twist. A week later, an email from HR, anonymous complaint. alleging fraternization impacting performance. Attached. Screenshots of our stairwell trysts. Timestamps damning. Zenda? No. But the knife-edge precision screamed insider. Paranoia bloomed. Colleagues? A jilted date? Alex's face drained of color in my cubicle. This could tank us both. But fuck it, I'll own it. For you. Courage. Bewildered. But I saw the fear. Job loss. Family fracture. The closet's jaws snapping shut. The investigation unfolded like a slow-motion car crash. HR interviews in sterile conference rooms. The execs' faces pinched with corporate discomfort. Whispers snaking through the halls like smoke. Alex and I lawyered up on the cheap. A queer rights nonprofit pro bono. But the strain-etched lines around his eyes turned our stolen moments to ash. They're painting us as the scandal, he muttered over lukewarm diner coffee, his knee pressing mine under the Formica table. The straight-passing exec and the troubled artist, classic trope. I squeezed his hand, hidden by the menu. Then we rewrite it. Together. But togetherness frayed under pressure. My freelance dried up, clients ghosting after Vanguard drama hit LinkedIn, leaving me scraping rent from savings. Pride a luxury I couldn't afford. Alex pushed for me to move in. His walk-up a sanctuary. But independence screamed louder, don't be the kept man. Instead, I crashed deeper into Astoria isolation. Nights scrolling his socials, posts scrubbed of us. A careful facade for his fading father. Hospital updates trickled in. He's asking about you, Alex texted once. A photo of tubes and beeps that twisted my gut. I wanted to go. To hold his hand through the vigil. But the complaint loomed like a guillotine. What if my presence shattered the old man further? The leak source surfaced in a gut-wrenching twist. Tyler? The poet barista. Turns out, he'd parlayed our fizzled night into a grudge. Spotting us at an industry mixer and snapping pics for leverage, his art, now extortion fodder for a rival agency poaching talent. He texted me yesterday, Alex confessed over burner phones? Paranoia our new normal. Demands I tank the hotline expansion? Or the pics go viral? Rage and revulsion warred in me. Tyler's honeyed words soured to venom. A betrayal that echoed Liam's gallery ghosts. We fight, I declared. Voice steel. Expose him. Turn the narrative. We did. Pooling resources, I crafted a blistering anonymous post for a queer media blog. Detailing the sabotage without naming names. Framing it as industry homophobia's underbelly. Alex leaked corroborating emails to a sympathetic journo at The Advocate. The backlash hit like a nor'easter, Tyler outed as the snake. His gigs evaporating. Vanguard's brass backpedaling with sensitivity training mandates. But victory's price was steep, the promotion deferred indefinitely. Alex's dad slipping into a coma mid-scandal. The old man's last lucid words a voicemail Alex played on loop. Son. Live true. Don't wait like I did. Grief hollowed him. A shadow in tailored suits. And I became his anchor, nights in the hospital waiting room. My head on his shoulder as monitors beeped elegies. He knew, Alex whispered finally. After the machines flatlined. His father's hands still warm in ours. About us. Said you sounded like the one worth fighting for. Tears carved paths down his stubbled cheeks. And I kissed them away. Our embrace a vow amid the fluorescent hum. The funeral was a quiet Ohio affair. Cornfields whispering condolences. Relatives side-eyeing the city friend in black jeans. I stood by him. hand brushing his in the receiving line. A silent "I'm here." Back in New York, reconstruction began brick by aching brick. Vanguard settled quietly, no firings, but transfers, me to a remote creative pod, Alex leading a satellite team in Brooklyn. Space to breathe, to build without the bullpen's glare. We moved slow, weekly dinners at that East Village tapas spot, sans sangria, toasting to not ruining each other. Laughter returned. Tentative then torrent. His stories of Midwest repression unlocking my own scars, the high school expulsion veiled as counseling, the years of grinder as armor. You were my mirror, I told him one twilight walk along the high line, vines tangling overhead like fate's design. Showing me the man I could be, not just the wreckage. Intimacy deepened. Beyond the physical, mornings tangled in sheets, debating ad ethics over eggs, evenings scripting our future, a joint pitch for a queer-owned startup that blended our visions. But the climax crested unexpected, a Vanguard gala, black tie redemption under crystal chandeliers. Execs toasting resilience, Tyler's absence a ghost in the room. Alex pulled me aside mid-speech. Ring box materializing like magic, simple platinum, engraved with fire and forge. Not proposing the white picket fence bullshit, he said. Voice husky amid the applause. But a promise, to build this with you. No more sabotages. No more shadows. Tears prick. Joy sharp as revelation. Yes, I breathed. Slipping it on. Our kiss sealing it under the lights, unapologetic. Electric. The after-party spilled into dawn. Bodies swaying to indie anthems. But we slipped away to the roof. City sprawling like a canvas we'd yet to paint. His arms encircled me from behind. Chin on my shoulder. Remember those ruined dates? Best thing I ever did, led me here. Earned. Tracing his jaw. Worst and best. You broke me open, Alex. Made space for this. We made love under the stars, or what passed for them in the glow, slow and sacred. Bodies a testament to survival. Months later, the hotline campaign swept awards, Clio for innovation, a glad nod for impact. Calls surged. Stories of kids finding their Gabriels, their Alexes. We launched our startup from his walk-up, now ours, ads that pulsed with truth. Love doesn't sabotage, it saves. Human. Message. Profoundly American in its grit and grace. Yet the ending isn't fairy tale neat. We fight over takeout orders. His lingering closet ticks with old clients, but we choose each other. Daily. In the quiet acts, coffee runs. Vulnerabilities handholds. New York comes on. Indifferent to our arc. But in stolen glances across crowded rooms, I see it, the love that ruined to rebuild. Fierce and flawed. A story worth every shattered glass. In the end, it's not about the dates we lost, but the one we became, two men, scarred and soaring, proving that sometimes, the greatest sabotage is the heart's own detour to home.